The bazaar of Orvis Prime pulsed with light and noise, a riot of alien languages and scents that struck Elias Connor like a storm. He had walked through human cities before, but this was something else. Metal towers fused with crystal, market stalls floating on repulsor pads, and banners written in glyphs that bent his translator to its limit. He was only here to trade. The freighter Halcyon needed fuel, and Elias needed credits. He'd sold scrap before, backwater deals in pirate-friendly ports, but this was different. The Interstellar Bazaar was a cathedral of commerce, where fortunes were made and lives were bought and sold. He kept his hand tight on the strap of his satchel, trying to ignore the gnaw of hunger in his own stomach. He'd skipped meals to stretch his ship's rations, better lean than desperate. Or so he thought. Then he heard it. A voice. Weak, tremulous. "Please, may I have the leftovers for my child?" Elias turned. The speaker was not human. She had the build of a tall woman, cloaked in a ragged shawl that did little to hide her thin, gray skin. Her hair was like spun silver, matted with dirt. And clinging to her side was a smaller figure, a child with the same features, large eyes glassy with hunger. The mother's hands were outstretched toward a vendor who had just scraped the remnants of a steaming dish into a disposal chute. 3 days, she whispered, barely audible. "We have not eaten in 3 days. The vendor, a squat reptilian merchant with jeweled rings embedded into his scales, sneered. "Filth. Beggars do not belong in my stall. Be gone before I call the patrol." The mother flinched but did not retreat. Her child clutched her leg, trembling. Elias felt something hard twist inside him. The bazaar moved around them. Wealthy buyers negotiating deals worth millions, noble aliens draped in silks, guards patrolling with stun batons. No one stopped. No one cared. He stepped forward before he realized what he was doing. "Hey," Elias said, his voice steady but low. "Give her the food." The vendor's slit eyes snapped toward him. "This is no concern of yours, human. She cannot pay." "I can." Elias reached into his satchel, withdrew a small packet of nutrient chips, and tossed it onto the counter. "That should cover more than scraps." The reptilian hissed, but the glitter of packaged food softened his snarl. With a disgusted grunt, he shoved a half portion of stew into a thin container and slapped it down. The woman bowed low, trembling as she accepted it. Her child's eyes widened, hope sparking through the fog of hunger. Elias crouched beside them. "Eat." Slowly, he warned, his voice gentle. "Don't hurt your stomach." Tears welled in the mother's eyes. Why would you help us?" Elias didn't have a good answer. He thought of Earth, of his sister, who had starved during a drought while wealthier towns hoarded grain. He thought of the promises humanity had made when it joined the wider galaxy, promises of dignity, of compassion. "Because no one else would," he said simply. They ate under the shadow of a merchant tower, the mother breaking off pieces of bread-like loaf to feed her child first. Elias sat with them, not asking questions, just guarding. When at last the boy's breathing steadied and his eyes closed in exhausted sleep, the mother turned to Elias. "My name is Sarah," she said softly. "This is my son, Lauren. We were taken from our colony when raiders burned it, sold here as laborers. When I grew too weak, they cast us out." Her voice cracked. "I tried to beg. No one listens to the weak. But you," she studied him as if he were an illusion. "You are human, yes? They say your kind are new to the stars. Why would you risk trouble for us?" Elias shrugged. "Maybe we're too new to have learned to stop caring." She blinked rapidly, as if she didn't understand kindness when it stared at her. That night, Elias brought them aboard the Halcyon. His ship was small, patched together, barely space-worthy, but it was warm, and it had food. Lauren slept curled in a blanket while Sarah lingered in the galley, staring at the walls as if afraid it was all a dream. "You can stay," Elias said, "for a while, until I figure out what's next." Her lips trembled. "You don't know what you risk. Those who abandon their masters are hunted. If the syndicate finds us—" "They won't," Elias cut in. "Not while you're with me." Her gaze locked on him, measuring the truth in his words. Slowly, she nodded. Days passed. Elias discovered that Sarah, despite her frail frame, was sharp of mind. She learned ship controls faster than most green crew. She repaired wiring with steady hands, cooked meals that reminded Elias of home, and taught her son songs in her native tongue. For the first time in years, the Halcyon felt less like a tomb and more like a living home. But the galaxy doesn't forgive kindness. It was on their third week together that a patrol frigate hailed them, Syndicate crest burning red on its hull. "Unregistered vessel Halcyon. Power down. You are suspected of harboring fugitives." Sarah's face went pale. Lauren whimpered, clinging to her hand. Elias didn't hesitate. "Strap in." He pushed the engines past safe limits, diving the freighter into an asteroid field. The Syndicate frigate gave chase, its cannons lighting the dark. Rocks spun past like knives. The Halcyon shuddered under near misses. Sarah gripped the console, sweat beading her brow as she rerouted shields. Lauren cried out as sparks rained. Elias clenched his teeth. "Come on, girl," he muttered to his ship. "Hold together." A massive asteroid loomed ahead. Elias drove straight toward it, then at the last instant, cut power and let gravity sling them into a shadowed crevice. The frigate overshot, sensors blind in the dense mineral field. Minutes passed. Silence returned. Sarah exhaled, shaking. Elias turned to her. "You okay?" She laughed once, half sob, half disbelief. "You risked your life and your ship for us." Elias met her gaze. "I told you, you're not alone anymore." They didn't linger in Syndicate space. Elias charted a course to a free colony on the rim, a place where slavers had no hold. When they landed, Sarah stepped onto the soil with trembling legs, Lauren clutching her skirt. "This is freedom?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "As close as it gets," Elias said. The colony elders welcomed them. They offered shelter, food, work. Elias knew he could leave then, his promise fulfilled. But when Sarah turned, her silver hair glinting in the sun, he realized he didn't want to. "You've given us life," she said, tears streaking her face. "What can we give you in return?" Elias swallowed hard. "A reason," he said softly. "A reason to keep fighting, to keep caring." Her hand reached for his, hesitant but firm. "Then stay. With us." That night, under the stars of a world neither of them had ever known, Elias sat with Sarah and Lauren at a fire surrounded by strangers who smiled like family. The galaxy was still cruel. Slavers still prowled. Hunger still haunted. But here, in this moment, one human's compassion had rewritten two lives. And perhaps, just perhaps, it was the beginning of rewriting far more. For in a universe where most turned away, humanity's greatest strength was simple. When others said no, one human said yes.